What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a book review video and some similar book type recommendations along with it. The book we're talking about today is A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Allende. This book just came out in June, and I just finished it a few days ago. I originally got this book as an arc, but I didn't finish the arc in time, not even close, because I was in my book slump at the end of May and at the beginning of June, so I tried to read through it as much as I could. I got to a specific part of the book where she introduced a new POV, and at that point mentally I just was not having it. I was like, I can't track multiple POVs right now. My brain hurts. I'm tired. I'm weak. I'm so sad. I can't do this. And I put the book down. Then I opened it back up after I got out of my book slump to finish it. And that's why I'm talking to you about it today. Okay, let's start off with the more spoiler-free section. Okay. The book is good. The book is very good. Even though I put it down and had to pick it back up, that was more of a me thing and not as much of a book thing, okay? This book is very similar to a book like The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart or Beasts of Prey, like Ayana Gray. Those are the two books that came to mind as I was reading this one in terms of the similarities that I found in terms of the way the book was structured, the way the POVs flowed, the plot line, the different storylines of it, etc. The most similar to me is Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I think like M.H. Allende's storytelling is very, very, very similar to Andrea Stewart's in a really good way, because I loved Bone Shard Trilogy. I loved that series so much. And reading this, it gave me the same feelings of the exact same way I felt reading the Bone Shard Trilogy, right? There's multiple POVs. Some of them I loved, some of them I didn't. Same with Bone Shard Trilogy. There's multiple different story arcs, right? And not everybody is converging on the same quest line like you have in a classic fantasy type of quest with multiple POVs. They all have their own different story arcs and their own different paths to take, which makes the story much more expansive and much like it scales up the story much larger, and it makes it that much more immersive. And if M.H. Allende is nothing if not immersive in her storytelling, this story combines a couple of different things. I'm going to read off my notes a little bit just so I don't tell you the wrong stuff or I don't get off on rants and tangents. So there's 6 main points of view in the story, and what I liked is at the beginning of each part, there's 4 parts to this book. At the beginning of each part, M.H. Allende puts a little thing in there that tells you whose POVs are you going to get in this part. So not all the POVs are in all the parts, which is interesting. The story premise, location, the setting. If we're going back to elementary school, the setting of the story is a post-technologically how to put this? It is a technologically regressed. It is a technologically regressed society after a technological renaissance basically happened, where there was a society that was built on a lot of high tech, and they had all these pieces of what they called tech work in place, and they had a pretty bustling society, and something came in and wiped all that away. Which we don't know at the beginning of the story, and it regressed the entire basically the entire society regressed back to almost tribalism, mixed a little bit in with technology, but heavier on the tribalism. And from what we can see, it's one of those stories where history was rewritten by the winners type of story, and we're kind of uncovering what was rewritten and what the actual truth is. So there's a technological aspect to this story, and there's a magical aspect to this story. And what I liked that M.H. Allende did is the technological aspect was not as technical. So it was high level, and it was high level enough to make it intriguing and not too deep to make it very technical and boring and or non-immersive. And the magical side of it was just as magical and just as fantastical. She likes to say that her book combines this type of tribalism storytelling and technological regression combined with Final Fantasy summons. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. The concept is that there's an ancestral realm where the ancestors of these tribes and stuff have gone to rest after they've passed, but the tribes still pray to these ancestors, and every now and then the ancestors will deem one of the tribes people worthy, and then imbue them with their spirit. The ancestors will imbue the tribes people with their spirit, and the tribes people can invoke their spirit in order to come like battle for them and things like that. They're called invokers in this story. So in that way, it's like the summoning a spirit type of concept, which is interesting. And initially, I wasn't like super there for it. It seemed kind of like superfluous, but or rather superficial, not superfluous, but superficial. But as we get into the story, and around part 3 and part 4, when you get the actual like big lore moments, I was in there. I was in there like swimwear, bro. I was in there. It was so good. And leading me into the lore, like the lore and the history that MHI is like weaving in this is actually pretty crazy. It's really intriguing. It's really fun, because if you remember the way like the Bone Shard trilogy, like the lore drops were in books 2 and books 3, when it makes you think all the way back to book 1 when something happened, and I was like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I'm super looking forward to something like that in this book, in this series. And then the last thing that I'll say in terms of the character progression, the character types, right? There's, what I did like, once again, is there's 6 different POVs. All of them have their own stories. They have their own stories, their own paths to take, and they do not converge in many ways. In many cases, they do not converge. A couple of them ended up, but most of them, like they don't all converge at the same time. Maybe 1 or 2 converge here, 1 or 2 converge here. This one doesn't converge or something like that, right? So that was very interesting to see. Free my man's Jinao, bro. Free my man's Jinao. If you read this book, free my man's Jinao. If you've read the Bone Shard trilogy by Andrea Stewart, and you know that on this channel we are a free Jovis society here, we are a free Jovis culture, I think we have to add in free Jinao. Because I can already tell that Gina's about to get fucked over like Jovis did. I can already tell that's about to happen. Hopefully it doesn't end like Jovis's story arc ended, but I can already tell like Gina is just getting the short end of the stick, being pulled along into a plot he didn't want the entire time. But he has the coolest story plot in this entire thing anyway, so I'm like, man, I don't want him to go through it, but I really want him to go through it because I want to find out what's happening. That being said, I think MHI A Song of Legends Lost is a really good story. It's a really good story. It's the start of a very immersive epic fantasy. I'm looking forward to book 2. I will be reading 2. Like, there's no way I wouldn't. And I talked to you guys about on this channel about the fact that I will read book 1 to never finish the series because if it wasn't that good. So if you don't believe me, at least let my track record show that I don't always read a book 2 and I don't always continue a series or a story if I didn't think it was good enough. This one, I'm saying is good enough. If you pick up A Song of Legends Lost, let me know what you think about it. If you've already read it, let me know what you think about it. If you've read it and you see its similarities with other stories that you think are of the same type, let us know about it so we can all try and find those stories together. And the fourth thing is, make sure you leave a review for the book wherever you bought it and however you bought it. Just let them know in the review that Entro sent you. That's all you got to do. Just let them know that Entro sent you. So that is it for the spoiler-free section of this review. I might go a little bit deeper into a bit more interesting parts about the story that do have a little bit of spoilers that I don't want to say right now. If you're cool for that, keep watching. If you don't want that, skip to the section when I'm talking about the other books. All right, now that those people are gone, let's talk about the fact that there are 6 POVs in this book. There's technically 5 POVs in the main story and a 6th one that I really liked about in the epilogue. I will go with 5 for now, but I really only liked 3 of them then. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I only really liked 3 of them because the other 2 were just like, I don't care. Well, the 5th one, okay, you know what? Instead of talking in vague terms, so there are 5 characters that we are following in the story, right? Temmie, Jinao, Boleo, Illari, and Runt. And I don't give a fuck about Illari and Runt. I kid you not, I don't care about their storylines. They're intriguing at the very least, but I don't give a fuck. Temmie, super interested in her and the spirit that she has in her, because she has the spirit eater ancestor in her. Like, that's fucking crazy. Jinao is like the crux of this entire thing. He is basically the chosen one hero's tale character, reluctant hero, but hero's tale character, where he's been trying to get the spirit of his ancestor imbued in him for years, and he never could. And finally, when his mom dies, then he can. Like we don't like we get to find out why, and that's a big spoiler, so I won't say that. But suddenly he has the spirit of Mizuto in him, and he's trying to pull out the spirit of Mizuto to fight for him, and he can't. And he has to go on this huge quest to defeat this gray blood barn eater, and the barn eater is fucking scary. Like the aura that MH Allende has given the barn eater and other gray bloods is actually fucking insane. Oh yeah, there's there is a conflict between the tribes people that we're following, and these race/class of creatures called gray bloods, which basically are this world's cyborgs. And they're pretty interesting, to say the least. They're the ones who obviously understand how tech works and everything like that, while the tribes people don't, and all these things, etc. Blah 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 blah. But Jinao's questline is super interesting, given his relationship to the ancestral realm that's in this book, and how that goes about. And then there's Boleo, and Boleo is interesting because he's a priest. He's a priest who is supposed to be taking away tech work from like the commons people and hoarding it for the royalty. He is supposed to fake to the people that tech work is bad. Don't touch tech work. Tech work's not for you. Be safe. Don't touch tech work. I'll take it off your hands. It's cursed, and then give it to the royalty. That is what Boleo's like overall job is. But he's a curious cat. And if we know anything, we know, first of all, you can never trust clergy. And second of all, curious clergy killed something that starts with a C for the alliteration. That being said, Boleo is an interesting character, and I'm actually looking forward to what we see from him in the future. He did get the short end of the stick a bit later on in the book, unfortunately. But I think that probably makes him for a more interesting character further on. I just hope his storyline doesn't become boring. Ilari and Run's storylines, honestly, are just like, I don't care about their storylines, to be honest. I don't care as much about the storylines. It wasn't as intriguing to me. They're very important to the lore and very important to the story overall, for sure. I just didn't care as much, to be honest. But overall, this book was really good. Definitely like takes a little bit to get into and work with and get a handle of, but the payoff that you get with the lore drops, because you've remembered all the information, remembered all the names, remembered all the clans, remembered the history, understand how the world works, and then you get, boom, lore dump. That one's cool. Like those specific lore dumps, specifically in Jinao and Temmie's story arcs, when you get their lore, like the lore drops, big reveal, big reveal, and it was so satisfying, so aggressively satisfying. But that's it. That is now it for Song of Legends Lost. I want to talk a little bit about Bone Shard Trilogy and Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray, and we'll start with Beasts of Prey. Now, I read this back in 2022, Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray. I never continued the series. I think it's like a duology or something. It was quite honestly the first book that I had read and that I can remember that was inspired by African culture and African history and stories, where the names did not register in my brain immediately, because when you actually go back to the clans of African culture and the different countries and cities and stuff, the way they speak, the way they phrase their words and their names and stuff aren't the same as obviously English and stuff. So it took a little bit to get into it. When I got into that story though, I was cruising. And I was like, what the hell is happening? I think that was a big thing for that book though. I couldn't wrap my hand around figuring out what is happening here. There's like one story arc where somebody is like a servant and she's breaking into a castle to find something. There's a different story arc where somebody's like the chosen one orphan trope type thing. There's another story arc of like something else that happens, and I think if I went back to it now, I'd still probably enjoy it. I just can't remember much about it from 2022. But I can remember how I felt reading it. And the way I felt reading it was the same way I felt reading A Song of Legends Lost. Which is why as soon as I started reading A Song of Legends Lost, I immediately was just like, yeah, it's giving Beasts of Prey vibes. And then I got into it, and I was like, oh, it's giving Bone Shard Trilogy vibes. Because the Bone Shard Trilogy by Andrew Stewart is an amazing, amazing story. Probably one of my top 10 stories of all time. I love it so much. The magic system in this one is so cool. It's soft magic to the extent of like we don't know where the magic comes from, but only certain people can use it. And it's hard in the sense that one aspect of the magic system, which is bone magic, combines the concept of coding language and etching commands onto bones, but then somehow push the bones into a human or a creature to then give them autonomy. You can make chimeras out of dead things, or you can put the bones into actual human people and control them based on the commands on the bone. That's fucking cool. Not to mention the Alonga race, which is basically their version of like a super race that bonds with sea creatures. This one was also a little bit of the history rewrites, or histories rewritten by the victors, a little bit of lost history, a little bit of governmental overthrowing, political abuse, things like that. So it combines a lot of different things in what is simply an ocean island archipelago, which was very interesting. It was seafaring, land based. It had a lot of things going for it. This gave me one of my favorite characters of all time, Jovis. And Jovis, his story ended very upsettingly to me, even though I knew that the only way for his story to end, for him to get the solace that he needs in his story arc, that's the only way it'll end. But it was still very sad that it happened. So those are my thoughts on A Song of Legends Lost, along with what I think about the Beasts of Prey, or what I remember from the Beasts of Prey, which wasn't much, and I do apologize for the scarcity of that information. And then what I did want to share from the Bone Shard trilogy, because listen, it's right there. I have the other two books. I have all three books. Immaculate series. If you haven't read it, you should read it. And if you're not planning to read it, you're a loser. So if you don't want to be a loser, you should read the Bone Shard trilogy. You should read Beasts of Prey and Beasts of Ruin by Ayana Gray, and then you should read A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Allende. And if you do read those books, just let them know that Entro sent you. So that's it for the video today. Thank you guys for listening thus far. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like and a comment on the video. If you're not new here, leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you guys are reading now, or what you have recently read and what you thought about it. Would appreciate some discourse happening. If you want to get in on the action, join the book club down below. If you're looking to connect with other authors and other readers, join the First Torch Book Club down below. Last night, I will say before I let you guys go, last night we had the first meeting of our book club for The Will of the Many by James Islington. My book club co-host and I are reading through The Will of the Many for book 2 that's going to come out later this year. We are reading roughly 12 to 13 chapters per live, and we're going live every 2 weeks. So we just went live last night with the first 12 chapters. In 2 weeks, we'll be going live again for the rest of part 1, essentially. And we're breaking down the book. We're going pretty deep. So if you like conversations about books and you want to go talk deep about books, not talk surface level, if you want to go deep about books, come join us over on TikTok Live, 8 p.m. EST on my account or Tim's account. We will both be there, and let's just talk about a book for once. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Had it. I literally almost had it. Oh my God, I can't do outro.